I have to apologize in advance because I go on an absolute rant this episode when it comes to Orange County. These women are just driving me absolutely crazy. And I haven't even watched part one of the reunion yet. Gretchen replied to one of my comments on a Bravo post, and I talk about that. And Emily in her interview clips is just making me so like honestly, there's steam coming out of my ears, really. These women are driving me nuts. Not Katie, but the rest of them. Um, We also have some updates from the Real Housewives of Potomac and what's going on with Wendy. We also have an important update about Denise Richards and her domestic violence situation. All that and much, much more. So I hope you enjoy today's episode. Welcome to the Bravo Papers, a safe space for all us Bravo fans who love to analyze, deconstruct, and talk about our favorite Bravo shows ad nauseum. So join me, Bravo and Botox, and we'll catch up on all the Bravo news and read way too much into our favorite shows and Bravo celebrities. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Bravo Papers, Bravo Weekly News, here with your host, Emily, also known as Bravo and Botox, to bring you all the gossip, tea, news, word on the street, all that kind of stuff that is going around about Bravo. This is me on a Friday, trying to get back on track. As you know, I have been way off track with my weekly news episodes just because of craziness in life. And I think my last one was Sunday. Yeah, Sunday, November 2nd. So this might be, sooner than you were expecting, but I'm trying to work my way back up. So Sunday was like technically last week's episode, even though Sunday is part of this week, right? Because the week starts on Sunday, does it not? I don't know. Anyways, I don't even know. Like, I just don't even know. Is there a definitive answer on that? Because some calendars start on a Monday but I've always been taught the week starts on Sunday. Okay. So technically, I released last week's episode this week. So now it's like you're getting 2 episodes this week. So this is this week's episode. That was last week's, but it was this week. Does that make sense? The goal ultimately is to have an episode next week that is earlier, right? Like I'm trying to work my way up here. So I didn't want to record this on like Sunday and release it. You know what I mean? So the goal for next week is to have an episode out on like Wednesday. That's the goal. Okay. I'm trying to work my way back up to Wednesdays. That is, yeah. So that's what I'm going for here. Okay. So let's get into it. So let's start with Salt Lake City because Bronwyn Newport was on Watch What Happens Live and she had some things to say. So she was asked about the whole like Lisa Barlow digging up dirt thing, because that's obviously been a big topic on the show the last couple weeks. And this is what she said. So this is a direct quote. She said, "I don't believe that Lisa digs or posts, but I do think she encourages other people to." Okay. So, yeah, so she's clarifying that she doesn't think Lisa like plants things or digs them up, but she does believe that she encourages other people. I'm assuming those other people are like content creators, bloggers, whatever. And that she encourages them to kind of put those stories out and that she is quote unquote ecstatic when they do come out. Um, yeah, I mean, I think that is I don't know about the like encouraging necessarily. Here's the thing. Here's the whole problem with this whole entire thing. Okay. And I'm just going to say it is that I think that they all kind of could be in the DMs with someone, a blogger, content creator, and that person could be like, wow, I heard this about so and so. And they could be like, I know, right? Like they're like, such a whatever, insert derogatory name. And then it could often be done in the way of like Emily Simpson and the leaked DMs of her talking to a blogger that have come up recently, which we'll get into later. In that you're not like directly asking them to post it, but you're not discouraging it. And like by engaging in the conversation, there's sort of an implied, we're in this together, bro. Like there's a little bit of that. That's what I think. So now, all that being said, Does that make Lisa quote unquote guilty? I mean, yeah, no, and yes. It depends on who you talk to, and it depends on where you think the line is when it comes to like how involved housewives should be with bloggers, etc. Like, there's some people who think it's like, it should be completely barred, like you're fired, like Bravo needs to take a stand on it, make a rule. There's others who are like, it's part of the game, they all do it, who cares? My thing is that there's a lot of hypocrisy when it comes to it. That's my thing. And the hypocrisy, to be honest, in my opinion, is with the audience. I think that we're kind of down with it if it's someone that we like and we excuse it and we're like, yeah, what's the big deal? And if it's someone that we don't like, we're like, wow, what a snake, da da da. And that is where I think kind of the problem is. And I think the women on the show, on all the shows, are hypocrites too. We're seeing this on Salt Lake, on OC, and we've seen it on other shows. Give me some time and I'll find more examples, but of like, everything sucks until I do it, right? Like this idea of like, I can hear things from like content creators or see things on Instagram and bring them up on camera. But when you do it, that means that you're responsible for it. So yeah, I don't know. So that's why I'm just kind of like, I don't think this is like that big of a deal. Just like, I understand it's like the driving force of like the season right now. I don't think it's going to be the whole season. I feel like hopefully this will be kind of wrapped up when the trip ends. That being said, I don't mind it because the Salt Lake City women, they make it fun and entertaining to fight about this kind of stuff, unlike OC where it's like toxic and terrible. So I don't actually mind it, but I'm just saying like there is some hypocrisy here. Now, could it be possible that Lisa goes an extra step and like literally like goes and does research and gives it to bloggers? Of course, anything's possible. But again, there's no evidence of that at this point. So yeah. So she also is asked about her mom, Muzzy, and she's asked if basically like, has Muzzy watched it? Does she think she's like too harsh watching it back? And then Bronwyn says that she spoke to her after seeing the show. But Muzzy is still Muzzy, so she sticks to, her opinion, basically. And then Bronwyn says that she did say to Bronwyn kind of like, oh, like, do I sound like that? Am I really harsh? I guess, something like that. And then she also says that Muzzy was like, she's glad that people saw her on TV. She's glad the audience got to see Muzzy on the show because she loves her mother. And she still wants her mother's acceptance, which I didn't understand why she said she was glad to see that the audience gets to see Muzzy because she wants her acceptance. That was a little confusing to me. What I think she's saying is, and maybe I'm interpreting it wrong, but it kind of sounds like she's saying, okay, I'm kind of glad the audience saw it. So it's like, sometimes like somebody treats you poorly and they maybe kind of gaslight you and make you think you're crazy. And then maybe for Bronwyn, it was sort of like nice to see the audience like kind of confirm that you're not crazy. Like your mom is being an asshole and your mom is speaking to you terribly and all this kind of stuff. Like maybe that was kind of like cathartic for her or whatever. So maybe she was kind of glad to see like, okay, I'm not crazy. And then on the other side, maybe she was kind of hoping that the audience reaction might impact like how her mom talks to her, or maybe it would help their relationship. I don't know. But that would be under the assumption that like her mom is on the internet and looks at what people say, which I don't know if she is. I don't know. Or if I don't know if she's even in the right area of the internet, if she's on it to see this stuff. I don't know. Okay. I mean, granted, people she knows who watch the show and go online could tell her. So I don't know, but it doesn't sound like she's like changing her opinion. So the other thing that she was asked about was, why she was more mad about Lisa talking about the rumor than the rumor itself of Todd cheating. And Bronwyn says, well, it just confirms everything she thought about Lisa. And that was like the last straw with Lisa. And she's, keeping her guard up with Lisa and does not address the Todd cheating thing at all. So just... It was like super funny to watch her answer that question because I was like, you didn't answer that like you literally did the exact thing that the question is questioning you about. Like they're questioning why you're not caring or reacting about the Todd cheating aspect. And she just completely ignores the Todd cheating aspect. And listen, we know why, because she doesn't want that to be the topic, And like many housewives, they don't want their marriage or possible problems or infidelities to be the topic. They want like just one of their cast members being like the bad guy. They would rather that be the topic or somebody else besides their family, right? So it's she's kind of like protecting that to make sure that Todd is not a focus and a storyline, because it really became more about being mad at Lisa for bringing up Todd than it became about like, is your husband cheating? Is there something you want to tell us? Are we going to talk about that? So, which, again, depending on who you talk to, there could be mixed opinions on that. And should she be sharing that or should she be addressing it? I mean, I guess she did address it though. Like she said, it's not true. So if she's going to say it's not true, then it's like, okay, what else is there to say, I guess. But anyways, I talk about that in more detail and depth, and I definitely have more opinions on that over on my Patreon. If you are interested, patreon.com/Bravo and Botox. Generally, I don't sleep in pajamas. Okay. I'm more of a underwear t-shirt kind of gal, but I am now converted because I got to try Skims lounge sleep set in Cyprus, by the way. Beautiful, deep green color, amazing for the holidays. And I'm converted. I slept in them the other night and now every night, and they are the most comfortable pajamas. Like, guys, I'm not just saying this, the most comfortable pajamas I have ever tried. Like, it is like sleeping with no pajamas on, but with the warmth and comfort of just that extra layer. And I'm just obsessed. I don't think I can ever go back. The softest fabric ever, the beautiful deep green cypress color, just like a Christmas tree. I'm going to be buying these for my sister, for my sisters in law. Like, I will be gifting these to everyone this Christmas. And honestly, you should too, because everyone will be thanking you. And this will be a gift that your family and friends are actually going to use and be obsessed with. So shop my favorite pajamas at skims.com. After you place your order, be sure to let them know we sent you. Select podcast in the survey and be sure to select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. And if you're looking for the perfect gifts for everyone on your list, the Skims holiday shop is now open at skims.com. Okay, guys, I know it's October, but let's be honest, the holidays are coming and they sneak up fast. One minute you're buying Halloween candy and the next is December 23rd and you still have 7 gifts to buy. But not to worry, because it's fun to get started early, an excuse to shop, right? And Uncommon Goods makes holiday shopping stress-free and joyful with thousands of one-of-a-kind gifts you can't find anywhere else. I love Uncommon Goods because I'm getting really tired of buying people the same like 5 gifts and gift cards over and over again. I love gift giving. I'm a big holiday person and I want it to be really special. So I'll tell you guys what I got. So my husband is a huge football fan and his team is the Detroit Lions, and they had so much unique NFL stuff. So I got him these Detroit Lions football helmet coasters. They're so nice. They look wooden and hand carved, and I know that this is one football gift that he will have not seen anywhere else. And the best part is, with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give back $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $3 million to date. So shop early, have fun, and cross some names off your list today. To get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/Bravo Papers. That's uncommongoods.com/Bravo Papers for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods. We're all out of the ordinary. Okay, so let's go to some Real Housewives of Potomac news, because we have some big news, which is that Karen Huger, the Grand Dame herself, has been spotted for the first time since her release from jail. Okay, so somebody, the Daphne Brown, was out at a bar. Yes, you heard that right, a bar. Again, you can be, here's the thing. Is it bad optics to be seen at a bar as soon as you get out from prison for your 4th DUI? Yes, the answer is yes, a resounding yes. Doesn't necessarily mean that because someone is in a place that is a bar that they're like getting hammered, etc. I mean, no. I've been to like bars that are like kind of the pubs where it's like, a bar technically, but it's also like family friendly and they have good food and you do see people there like not drinking, etc. So, you know, in the picture she's eating something. But again, I don't know. But the person put, this is what they wrote. Look who I spotted tonight at the bar with the eyes emoji. It's Karen Huger from Real Housewives of Potomac. Many people online have commentary about the wig. It's it's not good. It's really giving, you know, kind of like throwback to like her first season on Real Housewives of Potomac. It's a lot like that. Like it's maybe a little too far back. It doesn't really look like it's on properly. It's a lighter blonde, so it's not the same color, but yeah, it's not her best moment. But that being said, she's not filming. She just got out of prison. She's, maybe just wanted to get out and was just, didn't feel like putting in all the glam and time. And listen, I don't blame her. Okay. Because we don't always have time to get all dolled up every time you go out. That's one thing that I don't envy about celebrities and people is like sometimes you just want to leave the house looking like absolute crap. And, you're only going to see strangers and people that you'll never see again, or you don't care what they think. And that's got to be tough sometimes. Like if I just got out of prison, I want to be able to look as terrible as I feel like looking, and so just to give a little empathy to Karen, okay? All right, we have other Potomac news though, so let's get into that. So Wendy and Eddie's first court date was supposed to be today, and this date was actually a hearing. So what was supposed to happen is that this was Wendy's chance to, plead her case, I guess, about her motion to dismiss all charges. Okay, so if you remember from the news last week or the week before, I can't remember exactly which one it was, Wendy was saying that there was an illegal arrest and that basically like the rules, etc., were not followed the way that they were supposed to, so that all 16 charges should be dismissed. Now, I haven't heard anything about what the ruling was today yet. And I'm even right as I'm recording this, I paused it to look and see if there was any updates. I can't find anything as of now. If denied, though, she'll face all 16 charges in court. Sorry. So we'll see what happens with that. I'll be surprised if this, if this doesn't get denied. I'll be surprised because it does seem like they have quite a bit of evidence and that, they seem to, I don't know, like the police, when they did that interview and that press conference, they seemed pretty confident that, they had enough evidence and stuff and that they had kind of gone about this investigation over time and done the investigation properly, but you never know. So we'll see. But this is one of those things like Karen Huger did this as well. Like, and I know they're completely different cases, but it is one of those things where people like, either your lawyer throws everything that they can against the wall to try and, get the case dismissed in the first place. Like that's kind of their first thing. And then when that doesn't work, or if it doesn't work, then you move on to the next and so on, right? The next strategy and so on. But, it's not all gloomy news for Wendy because her wife swap episode is going to air. So it was initially pulled and now, we're hearing that it is coming out. It's going to be on this Sunday. So that's November the 9th. And the woman who she did the wife swap with put out a post actually to say that it's going to be happening. So she says, "Hi, Bravo friends. I wanted to clarify in case there's any confusion. My Bravo wife swap episode with Wendy Osefo will be on this Sunday at 9 following the new episode of Real Housewives of Potomac. For some reason, I don't see it listed on the TV guide. Correct me if I'm wrong. And the other wife swap episodes have been airing on Tuesday, so I just wanted to correct the record. I'm really excited for the episode. Judging by the other two so far, it looks like family friendly and fun. I had a great experience with the Osefos and vice versa." Okay, that's nice. That's good to hear. And I listen, this is the one that I'm the most interested in seeing. Okay, Emily Simpson is probably the one I'm the least interested in seeing. Melissa Gorga is almost tied with Emily, but a little bit above it because I could see that one being more entertaining, but mostly because of Joe. And then Angie's the one that I was looking forward to the most, that and Wendy. Like Wendy was in first place. And was it because of the arrest? Yeah, it was. Initially, I was mostly excited for Angie, and then Wendy was second, but Wendy has moved up to first, of course. So I'm glad that that's going to be happening because listen, we deserve it. Okay. We deserve to see that episode. Bravo fans everywhere, we have paid our dues. Give us it all. Okay. Now, Tia, who is one of the newest Real Housewives of Potomac, made her first appearance on Watch What Happens Live. And I absolutely love Tia on the show so far. She's, one of my favorite newbies. I think she's doing a fantastic job. I think she's handling it just exactly how you should handle it. And, she's got a good sense of humor about it. And I think that's always the most important thing, especially on Potomac, because there's a lot of comedy on Potomac. It's a funny cast. They have good senses of humor, so I think she's just fitting in beautifully there. And I enjoyed watching her clips from Watch What Happens Live too. So Tia says, when asked about if she regrets not saying anything when Giselle was like coming for Angel about the whole like catfish Facetune thing. They ask her if she kind of regrets not saying more in the moment because her and Angel are like, closer now and friends. She says that she does regret not saying more. But she also says, like, at that time, you have to understand, like, I didn't really know anyone very well in the group. It's something, it's like an awkward situation because I'm not close with people. But, she says now her and Angel know each other well and they are friends and she does regret it. She also says, it's like saying that is pretty much crazy. She says, it's not something I would say. And she also points out that they're all guilty of it, which thank you. Yes, Angel's Facetune was like, who are you? Listen, I can't say Giselle was wrong about that, but yes, they all do it. I'm sorry. They all do it. Okay. So in response to Stacey saying maybe Tia's accent is fake, Tia says, well, Stacey's from another universe, which is to me the perfect answer. And then she also says that she does, and she laughs it off. So again, this is what I'm saying. Like some people would legit get mad about that and like let it really eat them away. She lets it roll off her back. She laughs it off and then she's like, yeah, I don't take anything seriously, Stacey says, because she's like, she's from another planet kind of thing. Like perfect answer. Perfect answer. Okay. No one could have coached her better on that. And then she's asked about, does she think that Stacey and Chris Samuels did have something like more than friends? And she says yes. And she seems pretty confident in that answer. And Andy is all like, oh, but I gotta say, so again, so what? They were both single. Like, it's just, it's so stupid. Like, they're like trying to have, like, Ashley was trying so hard to have this like gotcha moment, but there's no gotcha moment. Okay. There's nothing. Okay, let's go to some Orange County news. Heads up, there's a lot. And also heads up, I have not watched the first part of the reunion yet. I'm actually going to watch it tonight after I'm done recording this. So in case, people are like, well, did you hear the update on the reunion? I'm sorry. I really haven't had time. And like, I take notes when I watch them. So it takes me like double the amount of time to watch. So I'm doing it tonight. Okay, so let's get into it. First of all, a fan commented on a post that Gretchen put up on her Instagram. And this was after the finale. Okay, so this was not from after the reunion. So this was after the finale. And it says and she said, the person who commented, or he or they, I don't know, said, not one of them defended you, with rolling eyes emojis. There's 3. And Gretchen replies, they were all blindsided, just like I was, and believed the fake post that was brought forward. But it's proven at the reunion it's not even a real post, with like a sad face emoji or something like that. Well, is it proven? Which is, again, why I probably should have watched it. I'm going to watch it, but I have a feeling that that's not even going to be like brought up in detail, maybe till later in the reunion anyways. But here's the thing. It was more than one post, Gretchen. Okay. And she is facing even more backlash after further alleged controversial social media interactions. Okay, that's the headline I'm reading, you guys. But people have pulled up even more stuff. I mean, there's stuff like dating back like 3 years, and people are like, so Tamra, while you were off the show, we're supposed to believe that Tamra, was, and while Tamra was off the show, no, Tamara was on the show because a lot of the posts are from 2023. So yes, she was on the show. So we're supposed to believe that during that time, Tamara was doctoring fake likes in 2023 and then screenshotting them and saving them for in case you possibly came back on the show 2 years later, which she didn't know about. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And I've seen her likes. Okay. I have recently, I do not follow her anymore. Okay. But I did. Okay. Because I follow like all the Bravo celebrities for the most part, whether I like them or not, just to keep up with stuff. Unless, of course, I've been blocked, which I have by many, but not Gretchen. But anyways, so like I had seen that stuff. I had seen that stuff on Reddit before Gretchen was even back on the show. Like I remember seeing stuff from her before Tamra was even back on the show, like around the time of the pandemic and stuff. So like, I don't know what we're doing with this bullshit, but what I'm going to say is this is propaganda that I am not buying. Okay, so Tamra reposted a thread that was posted by at Apples Oranges NY, which is like a Bravo account. And it said a thread, this was posted on Threads, a thread exposing RHOC album Gretchen Rossi's problematic views. Includes racism, homophobia, transphobia, COVID misinformation, anti-abortion stances, and more. Okay, and then there's, again, it was shared. You can slide through them all. And Tamra posted this on Threads and said, okay, Gretchen, all these posts are somehow tied to me. So I was plotting this plan 2 years ago and when you weren't even relevant. Keep lying, Gretchers. I mean, yeah, listen, I'm not a fan of Tamra. I've always I'm not a fan of Tamra. I don't think Tamra's right about everything. I don't even think she's like, doing this for the quote unquote right reasons, but it also just doesn't really matter. Because the point is, are the posts true or not? And in my opinion, I think they're true. Just, okay, that's my opinion. You don't have to agree. I think that these are true. I've always thought Gretchen was terrible. The first time she was on the show, I couldn't stand her. I couldn't stand her when she came back as a friend, like once or twice to say Eddie was gay or whatever. And then I didn't like her this time either. So there you go. And it was an epic fail, her coming back. So speaking of Gretchen, and myself, Bravo posted after the finale, they posted like the clip of the like anonymous caller that called, Emily, Shannon, and who was the third person? Gina, to be like, Gretchen has been leaking stuff about the season and which don't even get me started on that because nothing leaked except except Tamra like fake quitting, like and Tamra kind of leaked that. And there was maybe some talk about Janella being iced out. But besides that, there was nothing leaked. But the point is that they posted that clip and it was one of those moments where I just happened to like refresh my feed and it was like posted. So I was one of the first people that commented. And when you're one of the first people that comments, you get a lot more traction. So I wrote a comment, and to be honest, like the more I've sat and thought about it, I don't even know if I even believe this, but I just wrote it, to be honest, mostly to be funny. And I wrote, wow, sounds like Slade or something, something like that, which it does kind of sound like Slade. Now, other people are saying it sounds like Jeff Lewis. And I'm like, why would Jeff Lewis be involved in this? I don't like, is he like Gretchen's bestie? Like, I don't understand. Whatever. Okay. I don't even care who it is. What I know is that it's someone that was set up by Gretchen and Slade and production, in my opinion. So it doesn't really matter. Okay. And again, I'll tell you why I think that and my theory and all that kind of stuff. I talk about that on the Patreon, patreon.com/Bravo and Botox. And so I made that comment. It's gotten a lot of replies and stuff like that. And Gretchen replied the other day, just this week. And she said, at Bravo and Botox, Production would have never aired it if it was Slade. They have to verify the person's identity and get a signed release from the person before they air it. So okay. Anyways, so the narrative that this is Slade is just silly. Eye roll emoji. Besides, all the women could verify it's not him because they heard the real voice. Plus, the guy gave details about things Slade and I did not film and knew nothing about. We don't know what other cast members film until it airs, with like a bunch of like thumbs up emojis. She keeps inserting them randomly in the middle of sentences. Okay, but here's the thing. Gretchen, you want me to be honest with you? I think it's production that's making the phone call. And I actually think that you and production are in cahoots because I think they brought back this woman onto their show with a majority gay audience and LGBTQ audience / women. And then they brought this person back onto their show who's transphobic and homophobic. And they knew that it looked bad. They knew they were going to get a bunch of backlash. So, and they also knew that they couldn't stop Tamra because she's Tamra from bringing this stuff up on camera or talking about it at the reunion, etc. because Tamra's going to Tamra. So I think they did this. That's my opinion. If you really want my conspiracy opinion about this. So no, they wouldn't have to get releases and stuff. And I think that Emily and Gina and Shannon or whatever went along with it because they're going to do whatever the hell they need to do to keep their goddamn job. Okay? Done, period. And they're going to do whatever sorry, I said a period and I lied, comma. And also they're going to do whatever they need to do to give like reasonable doubt. Like they know we're not all going to believe it, but they just want like some reasonable doubt so they don't look like complete idiots bringing Gretchen back on despite the fact that she had all these posts floating around. And on top of that, it's adding this drama and this level of intrigue of like, ooh, did Tamra do it or did she not do it? Is she the villain or is she not the villain in this? And like it's absurd. It's absurd, but I do think that it is a strong, again, I don't know for sure. This is what I think though. And that's my opinion. Again, you don't have to agree, but this is what I think happened. Okay? Because it's just a little, something does not smell right. That's what I'm going to say. So in an interview, so this is something else from OC World, Emily Simpson says that she believes that Tamra did leak RHOC storylines. So she says, I'm sure she did. It was detailed. It was dates. It was who was there. It was where we were filming. She adds that the source knew about Gretchen's alleged likes info and info that only cast and production would know. Okay, but again, the source on the phone knows that stuff, but not all of that was leaked. Like everything that Emily's listing wasn't leaked. Like dates, who was there, like that. There were not all these leaks about the OC season. And like, I'm sorry, I cover these shows, like, and I am all over Twitter, Reddit, everywhere. Like, it's driving me crazy. Okay, sorry. So the women on the after show discuss Gretchen's reactions to being confronted about it. And Emily says that if it were her, she would be livid. Shannon says she doesn't want to judge Gretchen by her reaction. See, this is the other thing that's driving me crazy is like, why the softening? And it's like, we're supposed to buy this like conspiracy rather than the very most, sorry, this is a terrible sentence, but rather than the most likely and most logical answer. And by the way, in life, the simplest, most easiest answer is usually the real answer, which is that Gretchen liked the posts. And it's really not crazy. It's not crazy that a Republican woman who is super, super Christian and a Trump supporter would have these beliefs. It's not like 100% that a Republican person or whatever would have these beliefs. No, some can be, you know, of that political leaning and not have those beliefs, or not be homophobic, whatever. But it's not like some crazy, insane reach into like an illogical universe to say that. Okay. I'm just saying. And on top of that, Emily and Jen are asked on the red carpet by ET. They're asked, how bad does it get for Gretchen? And what Emily says is, I'm really fascinated to see what people take away from the episode and what they think. And in the clip, like, she doesn't go in on Gretchen. Like, she's, you know, she is kind of like avoiding the answer, and she describes the answer or sorry, she describes the situation, so Gretchen liking these posts, as, quote, very gray. So this is what's also annoying me about this cast is they seem to be shaping their opinions so much based on what the audience says and thinks. And that's what drives me crazy. So it's like Emily doesn't know if we are going to, you know, buy the whole like Tamra doctor these posts and paid so or whatever the hell they're trying to make happen, or if we are going to buy it and be like Gretchen's innocent, Tamra's evil, because you know they remember how much we hated Tamra last season. Okay, they all remember that the entire audience was gunning for Tamra. They wanted Tamra off the show. Everyone was so offended by the autism thing. Like the list goes on and on. She's terrible. Everyone was team Shannon. So like they know that, you know, they can't always predict which way the wind is going to blow. And I think that they are, again, like not sure what direction things are going to go in. And they saw how the Katie thing did not go their way, obviously. So I do think that Emily is, you know, being kind of political here and leaving it open and vague, etc., so that if she needs to walk it back later, she can walk it back. I think that's just it. Like that is what it's all about, instead of giving us like their real opinion or thought about it. So Jen added basically that Heather's reaction was raw, real, and emotional, and said that everyone left feeling confused after the last episode. Again, you know, choosing the word confused on purpose, because that's a good way to later be like, well, you know, we just didn't know and we still don't know. And again, it's like, let's try to cast this like reasonable doubt over whether Gretchen did this. And this is her way of defending her friend. And okay, so then Emily and Jen were asked about how they feel about Katie and Gretchen now that the reunion's done. So Emily said, I've known Gretchen for 10 years. She's always been kind, someone I've looked up to and admired. Someone you've looked up to. Okay. And she's always been a champion of women. Okay. Cool. I don't know like what that shows or proves about the accusations, but okay. And then Jen said that there were many factors that led to the end of her friendship with Katie, and admitted that it was difficult to see her at the reunion. Yeah, I mean, I would have a hard time seeing someone that I totally betrayed and threw under the bus as well. I would be ashamed of myself, embarrassed. I would know I need to apologize and go pleading back to them, but I don't know. Okay. And again, that's what really annoys me the most is like Gretchen is being given so much grace when it comes to this, and the whole like blogger situation, like they're all being given grace when it comes to talking to bloggers. Everyone except Katie is being given a ton of grace, right? And that's what drives me crazy. So also in the interview, Emily makes it clear that she has no control over RHOC casting. Yeah, we know, Emily. No one thinks that you have any control of OC casting. Like literally no one thinks that. No one thinks of you as like a Bethany or a Lisa Vanderpump or anyone who's in any sort of, or Nene. You are nowhere even a centimeter in those positions where anyone would think that you have any influence over who, like, my God, this woman needs a reality check, and it needs to involve being fired. Okay. When asked about Katie's future on the show, she said she doesn't believe, and I understand that's why she's like answering the question, but still, I just want to say like, duh, like, thank you, Captain Obvious. She also says that she believes Katie didn't take the time and effort to build authentic friendships with the other women. Instead, she feels Katie focuses her energy on building relationships with content creators and journalists, and added that aside from Jen, the cast doesn't feel that they have any relationships with Katie, nor do they believe she ever wanted friendships with them. Well, can I say something, Emily? Which is that you and Gina, and you especially, were not exactly the warmest and most inviting. Like, you guys were like, it's not like you guys had open arms and were like so like warm and really made her feel included. Not so much. It was more like Gina making comments about Asian designers under her breath. And, you know, yes, she messed up with that Heather thing. And then it was like, okay, let us just like give her the cold shoulder the rest of the season, even though like, she's like trying to get on this show. Like she's got to do something. Right. And I'm sorry, but Gina was totally into that storyline and involved in it. And I love how she just got away like scot free. So the whole thing is just hypocrisy. Okay. Okay. Let's end this OC segment before there's like actual steam coming out of my ears. Let's talk about what do we got next? What else do we have that's interesting to talk about? Oh, yes, we have some Vanderpump Rules news actually, because it seems like Katie Maloney might be back on our screens. Okay, so Stassi Schroeder was seen filming this show that she's doing called Stassi Says with co-star Katie Maloney. Okay, so TMZ caught Stassi filming at the Belmont in West Hollywood on Saturday, and she was with Katie. And Katie's cameo is fueling speculation that there's going to be, maybe surprises from past cast members, etc., which is cool. Because, we also got the trailer for the new Vanderpump Rules this week, which, I can't say it came out to mixed reviews. I would say it came out to mostly negative reactions because, I think at the end of the day, Vanderpump Rules is one of the, if not the best reality show of the like early 2000s era, and well, was it early 2000s or whatever, okay? Of the last 20 years, let's say that. And they really it was like something so special that you just can't repeat. So I do think that, recreating it and having that same name is going to be tough. It's like they made Southern Hospitality and there was a little bit of like, it's, whatever. It's like trying to be like Vanderpump Rules, etc. But it wasn't as closely compared as this is going to be. And the comparison thing can be tough. It can definitely be tough. Now, that being said, we're 3 seasons into Southern Hospitality, and it's a good show. It's not like how Vanderpump Rules was. It's still much more produced and all that, but it's still good and enjoyable. And this one is gonna be like Southern Hospitality. Okay. We should be comparing it to that, if anything. Okay. It's not going to be anything like the original because reality TV has just changed. It's just not what it once was. Everyone knows that it can lead to like fame, a social media career, influencing, like it's just a different generation. It's a completely different world, different culture, different everything. Now, that being said, it doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be bad. It's never going to be what the original was, but it could still be an okay, like just Bravo show. The trailer was fine. Like I didn't think it was like amazing. I wasn't blown away by it. It wasn't absolutely terrible. So yeah, I'm just kind of neutral on it. Like I'm not like excited about it, I have to be honest, but am I going to watch it? Yeah, I'm going to watch it because I do this. So yeah, I'm going to watch it. But if I wasn't doing this, would I watch it? I don't know if I would actually. I think I would wait and like let it be on for a little while and then see what like Twitter and stuff was saying. And then I'd make a decision. That's probably what I would do. Same thing as Southern Hospitality. Actually, I didn't watch it because like it was a smaller show and like not enough of the audience was watching it and it didn't like kind of affect the podcast and my Instagram and all that much. So not watching it wasn't like I was like, missing out on all this content or anything. But I will say that I just kind of let it air and I did kind of just see what people were saying when they were talking about it over the last couple of years. And then I noticed like, especially in the when the last season was on, that people were really like, I was seeing a lot of tweets about it. People were really into it. And I could tell by what they were saying and the memes that it did have something there. So, last summer I did a marathon of it and, or not last summer, the summer before I did a marathon and yeah, and I was happy I did. So I don't know, maybe I'll do same thing with the new Vanderpump Rules. We'll see. Okay. Let's go to, we have some Real Housewives of New Jersey news. So Jen Aiden is responding to just the general like who's going to be cast on New Jersey, what's going on with test filming, that kind of thing. So she made an Instagram story and she said, "Hey guys, just wanted to hop on here and update you guys on a few things. A lot of you have been asking me if I'm still on the show or not. I can honestly say that nobody has told me anything, and they still haven't told me anything." Well, you just said that. Okay. Anyways, I haven't checked either. Life's been pretty busy, and I would only think about it when people asked, which is why I would have liked to have known so I can let you guys know. You know me, I like to keep it real. So I guess she's saying like she wishes they would tell her and like update her on it, is what I'm getting from that. And all I've heard is what you've heard. You probably know more than me, actually. I've heard their test filming, and I wasn't invited to BravoCon. Okay. I'm not shocked about that, considering like, just things are on pause and, she kind of had that thing with Joe Gorga at the last BravoCon, which by the way, I think is 100% his fault because you shouldn't be swearing and screaming at a woman and intimidate. Like, I don't care who the woman is. But still, it doesn't seem like Bravo or production likes her that much. So I don't know. I think they kept her on the show because she was, entertaining and caused a lot of drama and that kind of thing. But now that they don't know what they're doing with it, I think they're kind of like, well, we'll not invite this mess because who knows what it's going to end up in. Right. And she says, "So by the looks of it, I think it's safe to say probably not, and that's okay. I'm good." Okay. Then she says more. "Maybe that's how they fire people these days." Okay. So it's not okay because you just said that and now you have an entire new slide with like an essay. So it says, "Maybe that's not how they fire people. Maybe that's how they fire people these days, but just moving on without telling the person, maybe it's awkward for them. I don't know. But if they did tell me, I would have said, thanks for letting me know. And thanks so much for the journey. Wish you guys all the best." And I mean that. I'll always be grateful for my time on the show. It was quite the experience, to say the least. So it's time to keep it moving. And I got a podcast. It's called TV Gold, and it's not about housewives. LOL. Of course, I'll touch on it at times since it was such a big part of my life, but the podcast is more going to be about pop culture, entertainment, fashion, health, wellness, and beauty. Well, that's a lot of categories. And with a flair of funny, handled by yours truly, Jennifer Aiden. Okay, so really this was to announce her podcast. And she's using like the casting rumors to get attention. I mean, this is a smart thing actually, because this Instagram story, I've seen it everywhere. Like everyone's been talking about it, etc. And I had no idea she was going to have a podcast until this. And now so I guess I kind of got suckered here, but oh well. But again, there are so many podcasts now, this coming from me who's sitting here podcasting, but there are so many podcasts that it's like, well, there's no guarantee that you're going to have a successful podcast now just because you are a big name. Like if you're a celebrity, you definitely have a leg up and a higher chance and all that kind of stuff. If you're a Bravo celebrity, maybe you do have a little bit more of a chance, I guess. But, I've also seen that some Bravo lebs have like stopped doing their podcasts and stuff because it's just not even like worth their time because they're not making money off it. So like it really isn't a guarantee. And I think most podcast listeners are, won't just listen to anything. You know what I mean? They want something of quality. They want someone who's good at doing it. And, just because you're on a reality show doesn't necessarily mean you're good at podcasting. It's not necessarily the same. Some are, though. Some are good at it. It really just depends on the person. Yeah, I don't know if this is the right avenue for Jen Aiden. I just don't. But good luck to her, I guess, if it makes her happy. Okay. So it's out with the old and on to the gold. Okay. That's what she said, not me. And then on the next slide, she says, because there is a third message of the day, don't live in the past, learn from it and move forward. Okay. Congrats. It doesn't seem like she's going to be coming back. Here's the thing. I haven't heard a lot of people talking about her or whether or not she is coming back. Really, whenever I hear people talking about it, it's always about, is it Melissa or Teresa? Melissa or Teresa? I don't really, even for a while, people were talking about like the teams, like is Marge coming back, Rachel Fuda, all this stuff. But even them, I haven't heard much about lately. I haven't heard much about Marge at all. It's really been, or Jen Aiden on the other side. Like, it's really just been the Melissa, Teresa, Joe Gorga of it all. So I don't know. Take with that what you will, and I guess we'll see what happens. But again, there is nothing confirmed still. So, when you see stuff floating around online, take it with a grain of salt, because from what I have learned covering Jersey casting news for the last few years, it's all until it is confirmed by Bravo or one of the cast members who's been told by Bravo, it's probably BS, and it's probably made up by some crazy New Jersey account, because that just seems to be the thing. I'm sorry, but it's true. Okay. Our last news for today is actually pretty breaking. Like, this just kind of was posted like within the last hour of me recording this on Friday evening. Or sorry, no, it was late afternoon today, and it's like early Friday evening I'm recording. So this is just from like 2.5 hours ago. Denise Richards has a big legal win over her ex, Aaron. Okay, so she has been granted the restraining order that she was asking for. Okay, thank God. So she's getting her court-ordered protection from him after accusing him of domestic violence. So a judge ruled today that her request is approved, and the ruling bars him from talking to the media about Denise and about owning guns. Okay. And that's according to People magazine. It will remain in place for 5 years. Okay. So until 2030, he cannot contact Denise, disturb her peace, or abuse her. What else is in it? So the restraining order also calls for him to return a laptop that Denise claims he stole from her, and he's barred from sharing pictures of her. So if you remember, there was this whole thing with the laptop with her saying that, it had like, nude photos and pictures that she would be using for OnlyFans and all that. So yeah, so he cannot, he has to give that back, and he can't share any pictures of her that he has. It says that he has to delete all videos that he has of Denise's surgeries from all of his devices and his iCloud account. Okay. Let's see if there's anything else in that. I think that's those are the big things from the restraining order. Oh yeah, if he does contact her and there's any sort of communication, she's allowed to record any conversations that she has with him. And I mean, I think as far as like the situation goes, because, I don't want to be like, oh, good news. Like, it's never, quote unquote, good news when you're dealing with a domestic violence situation. But, this is good news in the scope of that, in the sense of hopefully this will grant her some more protection, more legal power, etc. I mean, best case scenario would be that this man is put in jail and that he doesn't get out for a very long time. But, we know he's posted bail, so even though he was trying to say he was poor, but anyways, he's out for now, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, hopefully, again, just wishing that Denise stays safe, stays away from him, or that he stays away from her is what I should say, right? And that he follows this restraining order, because that's the thing with restraining orders. I mean, they exist, but people do break them, right? Like, that can happen, so hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully he follows it and does what he's supposed to do, and that she can stay safe. So wishing her all the best. And I'm, based on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills trailer, which was overall kind of boring, but that's besides the point. One thing that I am interested in seeing is listening to Denise talk about this, like, from her own perspective and from her own mouth on the show. Because it does seem like, they did show a little clip about that. It does seem like it is something she's going to talk about. So yeah, so we will see what she has to say. I mean, she's already given a lot of details in court and stuff. So it's not like we haven't heard anything. But it is different when like you see someone like sit down and talk about it in a vulnerable way with like their friends or something like that. So yeah. All right. But again, wishing Denise all the best, and all the best to all of you. Hope that you've had a great week, that you've adjusted to the time change and all that stuff. And until next week, you are now in the know for everything Bravo. See you next time. Bye. Thanks for listening, everyone. Your support really means everything to me, and this show wouldn't be possible without you, the listeners. So please, if you enjoy the podcast, leave a 5-star rating and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. For more, you can join my Patreon, patreon.com/Bravo and Botox. And for $5 a month, you'll get 4 extra podcast episodes a month. You'll also get early releases of Bravo Paper episodes and more. Please also subscribe to my YouTube channel at The Bravo Papers and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, at Bravo and Botox and at The Bravo Papers. If you'd like to buy me a coffee, you can at buymeacoffee.com/Bravo and Botox. Send your love through some much needed caffeine. And any guest that was on today's episode will be in the show notes, all their social media and contact information. So thank you so much, everyone. Keep overanalyzing Bravo.